The silence of that hospital waiting room, dot, dot, dot. It's deafening. All I could think about was what the doctor had said just hours before, holding a clipboard with zero emotion on his face. Anna, your husband is a ticking time bomb. High blood pressure, pre-diabetic, cholesterol through the roof. He's 43, but his body is giving up. If he doesn't lose 130 pounds right now, he might not get the chance to watch his children grow up. That was my husband, Mark, the love of my life, and he was dying in front of me. What I am about to share with you in this presentation is not just how Mark lost 147 pounds. It's how he did it and how I stumbled onto a 10-second morning ritual from a specific tropical ecosystem that reactivated a metabolic furnace that had been dormant in his body for decades. A method so simple, it didn't require him to starve himself or step foot in a gym. And it saved his life. If you or someone you love struggles with stubborn fat that refuses to leave, if you look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person looking back, please stop everything and watch this presentation until the very end, because the truth is that it is not your fault. For years, we've been told the same old lies: eat less, move more. We've been shamed into believing our weight is a moral failing, a lack of willpower. But what if I told you the real culprit is something you've likely never heard of? A hidden metabolic glitch that can affect anyone, regardless of age, gender, or genetics. It's this glitch that keeps your body in fat storage mode, no matter how little you eat or how much you exercise. It makes you crave the very foods that are making the problem worse, and it drains you of the energy you need to fight back. Mark tried everything: keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, expensive meal plans. You name it, we bought it. He'd lose a few pounds, only to gain it all back, plus more. The frustration was crushing. It felt like we were trapped in a nightmare, with no way out. That night in the hospital was our rock bottom. I looked at Mark, hooked up to monitors, and I made a vow. I refused to accept this as his fate. I wasn't a doctor or a scientist, just a desperate wife. But that desperation fueled a mission. I spent every waking moment buried in medical journals, obscure research papers, and ancient wellness practices. I was searching for a glimmer of hope, a different answer. And then I found it, tucked away in a study about the unique biodiversity of a remote tropical island. I discovered a community of people who were practically immune to weight gain, despite their diet. Their secret wasn't a grueling exercise routine or a restrictive diet. It was a simple daily ritual involving a unique combination of local nutrients. These nutrients work together to target and flip a specific metabolic switch inside the body. A switch that, when activated, turns your body from a fat-storing machine into a fat-burning furnace. 24/7. I was skeptical. Of course, it sounded too good to be true. But we were out of options. I managed to source the exact same nutrients and recreate the ritual for Mark. He started taking it every morning. Just a simple 10-second habit. The first week, he lost 9 pounds. We thought it was just water weight, but then the pounds kept melting off. Week after week, his energy levels soared. His cravings vanished. He started sleeping through the night for the first time in years. Within 6 months, Mark had lost 147 pounds. His blood pressure normalized. His blood sugar was perfect. His cholesterol dropped to healthy levels. At his next checkup, his doctor was speechless. He called it a medical miracle. But it wasn't a miracle, it was science. It was about understanding the root cause of weight gain, instead of just treating the symptoms. This discovery didn't just give me my husband back. It gave him his life back. He's now coaching our son's soccer team, something he could only dream of doing before. We go on hikes, we travel, we live. I knew I couldn't keep this to myself. I felt a moral obligation to share this with as many people as possible. Because I know the pain, the shame, and the hopelessness that comes with battling your weight. I've seen it firsthand. You've tried everything, haven't you? I know the feeling. We did too. First, it was the endless cycle of fad diets. Remember those? Keto, paleo, low-carb, you name it, we tried it. We spent hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars on specialty foods. We cleared out our pantry, tossing anything that had gluten or wasn't organic. My husband, Mark, basically lived on chicken breast and salad. Can you imagine? He was hungry all the time. He was irritable, just completely drained of energy. And sure, he'd lose 10 pounds, but the moment he even looked at a plate of pasta, it felt like he'd gained 15 back. It's that vicious yo-yo effect. And let me tell you, it is psychologically brutal. It just grinds you down and makes you feel like a complete failure. So after the diet roller coaster, we tried the next obvious solution, the gym. We've all seen the pictures, right? A long line for the treadmills, everyone looking miserable. That was our reality. Mark started waking up at 5 a.m. before his long day at work, just to force himself onto a treadmill. He'd run until his knees ached, surrounded by people who looked like they were born in a gym, which just made him feel more out of place and intimidated. Honestly, Mark hated every single second of it. And here's the hard truth that nobody in the fitness industry wants you to know. You cannot outrun a broken metabolism. Now, don't get me wrong. Exercise is fantastic for your overall health, for your heart, for your mood. But as a primary tool for initial significant weight loss, it's surprisingly terrible. Mark was doing everything he was told was right. He was eating clean, he was exercising, but it felt like his own body was fighting him every step of the way. That's when we truly hit rock bottom. We went to the doctor desperate for a solution, and that's when the new medications were suggested. You know the ones I'm talking about. The new miracle shots that are all over the news. Mark decided to give them a try, and it was an absolute nightmare. The side effects were awful. He was constantly nauseous, to the point where he couldn't even think about food. And yes, the number on the scale went down, he lost weight, he looked sick. His face became gaunt, hollowed out. He wasn't losing fat. He was losing precious muscle mass. And the worst part? The cost is astronomical, a fortune every month. And the second he stopped taking them, every single pound came roaring back, and then some. It was in that moment of complete despair that I had a realization. The entire weight loss industry, it's broken. It's not designed for you to succeed. It is designed for you to fail. Think about it. The diet fails, so you go out and buy the next best-selling book. The gym membership doesn't work, so you pay for a new, more expensive one. The drugs fail, and you become a customer for life, dependent on the next prescription. They are all just treating the symptom, the number on the scale. No one is looking at the root cause. And let me be clear, the root cause isn't your willpower. It's not about being lazy. It's something doctors are now calling a metabolic shutdown. You see, for many of us, after we hit age 30 or 35, our bodies start to shift into a kind of survival mode. Our hormones change. The constant stress of modern life, the environmental toxins, the processed ingredients in our food, it all sends a powerful signal to our body. Store fat. Store it for hard times ahead. Your metabolism isn't broken, not really. It's dormant. It's been put to sleep. That visceral fat, the dangerous kind of fat that was wrapping around Mark's organs and crushing his health from the inside out, wasn't being burned because his body was locked in storage mode. I knew then, if I was going to save my husband, I didn't need another diet plan. I didn't need another gym pass. I needed the key to unlock his metabolism and finally set his body free. This isn't just about losing weight. It's about reclaiming your life. Let me start by saying I'm not a doctor or scientist. I'm just a desperate wife who couldn't stand to watch her husband, Mark, suffer any longer. He had tried everything keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, you name it. He'd lose a few pounds only to have them come roaring back, bringing his frustration and hopelessness with them. The doctors just kept telling him to try harder, but I knew something was fundamentally wrong. His body seemed to be fighting against him. I felt helpless, watching the man I love fade away. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a desperate wife, so I dove in. I spent nights, after the kids were asleep, reading obscure scientific studies, botanical journals, and medical papers that the mainstream media ignores. I was looking for something different, a real answer, not just another fad diet, and I found it. I came across the work of a researcher who spent his life studying the world's botanical hotspots. These are incredible places where people routinely live past 100 in perfect health with zero obesity. And one place kept coming up ... a specific tropical ecosystem. The people there didn't count calories. They didn't run marathons or spend hours in a gym, but they did consume a combination of local plants and extracts every single day. It wasn't just one magic ingredient. It was the synergy between them. I started cross-referencing the data. A study from Yale, another from Oxford, all pointing to the same powerful compounds. A total of 24 botanical extracts, things like L-carnitine, not the synthetic kind you find in most supplements, but the pure, natural form, that acts like a shepherd taking released fat cells and forcing them into the mitochondria to be burned as energy. Then there was African mango extract, which studies showed has an incredible power to signal to the brain that you are full, breaking that vicious cycle of cravings. Macaroot ... eleuthero. Green tea ... The list went on. It was a list of 24 ingredients that, when combined in the precise ratio, acted like a code. This code did 3 amazing things. First, it unlocked the stubborn, visceral fat cells, the dangerous fat that wraps around your organs. Second, it accelerated the metabolic engine, turning up the thermogenesis to burn that fat 24/7, even while sleeping. And third, used that burned fat as clean energy, flooding the body with vitality and focus. I was obsessed. I knew I had to test this. I used my health advocate contacts to find pure suppliers of all 24 ingredients. I was meticulous about the quality, and I concentrated them into a liquid tincture. It just seemed easier. Absorption under the tongue is almost instantaneous, so it gets to work right away. I gave the first bottle to Mark. I remember his look of doubt. "Honey," I said, "just 10 drops in your morning coffee. That's all I ask." He was skeptical. Who could blame him, but he did it. He did it for me. What happened next is something we could have never predicted, and it's the reason I'm sharing this with you today. In the next part of this video, I'm going to show you Mark's unbelievable transformation, the day-by-day changes that left us both speechless, and reveal exactly how you can access this same botanical code for yourself. You won't want to miss this. Thanks for watching so far. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the conclusion. I appreciate your support more than you know. All right, let's get into the heart of this. I'm not some lab-coated scientist or a doctor in a white coat. I'm just a wife. A wife who's watching the man she loves fade away, and I was desperate, so I took matters into my own hands. Once the house was quiet and the kids were sound asleep, my real work began. I plunged into a world most people never see. I'm talking about obscure scientific studies, dusty botanical journals, and dense medical papers that never make the evening news. I was hunting for something, anything, that the mainstream had overlooked, and you know what? I found it. My search led me to the work of a brilliant researcher, a man who had dedicated his entire life to studying the world's botanical hotspots. These are incredible places on Earth where people don't just live, they thrive. We're talking about communities where living past 100 in perfect health, with absolutely zero obesity, is just normal. And as I dug deeper, one particular location kept popping up again and again. It was a unique tropical ecosystem, a place teeming with life. Think of the most lush, vibrant rainforests you can imagine, bursting with exotic fruits and plants you've never even heard of. The people in this paradise, they weren't obsessing over calories. They weren't grinding out hours on a treadmill or running marathons. Their secret wasn't about deprivation. It was about what they consumed. Every single day, they took in a specific combination of local plants and natural extracts. It hit me like a lightning bolt. It wasn't about one magic ingredient. It was the synergy. It was how these plants worked together. My heart started pounding. I began to cross-reference everything I was finding. I pulled up a study from Yale, then another from Oxford, and more from prestigious institutions around the globe. They were all incredibly pointing to the very same set of natural compounds. After weeks of relentless research, I had a complete list, a total of 24 potent botanical extracts. Things like pure, natural L-carnitine, not the cheap synthetic stuff you find everywhere else. This pure form acts like a little shepherd for your body, grabbing released fat cells and marching them directly into your mitochondria to be incinerated for energy. Then there was African mango extract, which clinical studies showed has this amazing ability to signal to your brain that you're full and satisfied, effectively slamming the brakes on those nagging, uncontrollable cravings. The list just kept growing. Maca root for energy, Eleuthero for stamina, green tea extract for its metabolic boost. 24 ingredients in total. I realized I hadn't just found a list, I had uncovered a code. A metabolic code that, when these 24 ingredients were combined in the exact, precise ratio, could completely transform how the body handles fat. This code did 3 very specific, very powerful things. First, it unlocked the most stubborn, deep-seated visceral fat cells, the dangerous fat that wraps around your organs. Second, it accelerated the body's metabolic engine, cranking up thermogenesis so you burn that fat around the clock, 24/7, even while you're fast asleep. And third, it used all that newly burned fat as a source of clean, pure energy, flooding your entire body with a vitality you haven't felt in years. I became completely obsessed. This wasn't just a theory anymore. I had to see if it worked. I had to test it. I reached out to my contacts in the natural health world, people I trusted, and I sourced the purest, most potent form of all 24 ingredients. I decided to concentrate them into a simple liquid tincture. Why a liquid? Because it's easier and the absorption is incredibly fast. A few drops under the tongue and it gets into your system almost instantaneously. I went to my husband, Mark. I held the small bottle in my hand. "Honey," I said, "just 10 drops in your morning coffee. That's all I'm asking. Just try it." He looked at me and I could see the skepticism in his eyes. He'd tried everything, but he also saw the hope in my eyes, and so he did it. For me, the first week passed and honestly, nothing spectacular happened except for one little thing. Mark came to me and said, "You know what's weird? I don't feel that 3 p.m. slump anymore. That overwhelming need for a sugary snack ... It just vanished. Poof. Gone." Then came the second week. He cautiously stepped on the scale, probably expecting the usual disappointment. But this time, his eyes went wide. 17 pounds. He was so shocked he thought the scale must be broken. He even made me try it to make sure. By the end of that first month, it was undeniable. His pants were literally falling off him. He had to start using belts he hadn't touched in years, and his energy ... it was incredible. He was waking up naturally, feeling refreshed, even before his alarm clock went off. He wasn't just watching the kids play anymore. He was down on the floor with them, building forts and having pillow fights. He was present. He was happy. 6 months later, we were at his doctor's office for a routine checkup. As Mark stepped on the scale, the nurse did a double take. He'd lost a staggering 147 pounds. The doctor came in looking pale. He reviewed the blood work, his brow furrowed in concentration. Then he looked up at Mark, completely stunned. "Mark," he said, "your blood pressure is perfect. Your glucose levels are completely normal. I honestly don't know what you're doing, but for goodness sake, keep doing it." But I had to know, was this just a fluke? Was it something unique to Mark? So I gave the formula to my dear friend Sarah from Chicago. She'd been struggling with her weight ever since her pregnancy and had tried everything under the sun. A few weeks later, she called me and she was crying, but they were happy tears. "Anna, I've lost 75 pounds, she sobbed. "I just put a few drops in my tea every morning. It feels so easy, it's almost like I'm cheating." Then there was David from Austin. A great guy, 52 years old, but he was so self-conscious about that stubborn beer belly. That just wouldn't budge no matter how many crunches he did. He lost 92 pounds. He sent me an email saying he felt like he was 30 again, full of vitality and confidence. That's when it hit me. We hadn't just stumbled upon some little helper. This wasn't just another diet trick. We had found the answer. The real, lasting solution that so many of us had been desperately searching for. At that moment, we knew it would be a crime against humanity to keep this powerful secret to ourselves. So we made a decision. We partnered with a small, artisanal, GMP-certified and FDA-registered lab right here in the United States. We wanted to ensure that every single bottle was produced to the highest possible standards, with the exact same purity and potency as the original formula I created in my kitchen. We decided to call it Key Slim Drops, because that's exactly what it is. It's the key to unlocking your body's natural fat-burning potential, leading to a slim, revitalized metabolism and a healthier, happier you. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but the scale just won't budge? You cut carbs, you spend hours at the gym, you say no to dessert, and for what? To feel exhausted, hungry, and defeated when you step on the scale and see that stubborn number staring back at you. If that sounds familiar, I need you to listen very closely for the next few minutes. Because what I'm about to share has nothing to do with restrictive diets or grueling workouts. In fact, it's a simple 10-second morning ritual that an everyday guy named Mark, a 48-year-old father of 3, discovered by accident. And it completely transformed not just his body, but his entire life. Mark was just like many of us. He'd struggled with his weight for years. He'd tried everything from keto to intermittent fasting. He'd even hired a personal trainer. But no matter what he did, the weight always came creeping back, often with a few extra pounds for good measure. He was tired, his joints ached, and he felt like he was failing his family because he didn't have the energy to keep up with his kids. His confidence was at an all-time low. He avoided mirrors and social events. He felt trapped in a body that didn't feel like his own. He was on the verge of giving up, resigning himself to a life of feeling unhealthy and unhappy. But one morning, a small, almost insignificant change to his routine would set off a chain reaction he never could have predicted. It all started with a conversation with his grandfather. His grandpa, sharp as a tack at 85, was telling stories about his youth. He mentioned a specific combination of herbs and spices his own grandmother used to make into a morning tea. She called it her sunrise tonic. She believed it woke up the body's inner furnace. Mark was skeptical, of course. It sounded like an old folktale, but he was also desperate. He figured, what did he have to lose? He jotted down the ingredients his grandfather remembered. They were simple, natural things you might find in a well-stocked pantry or a health food store. Things like turmeric, cinnamon, ginger root, and a few lesser-known but powerful plant extracts. The next morning, Mark mixed the ingredients with a glass of warm water. It took him less than 10 seconds. He drank it down, not expecting much. He went about his day and then his week. He didn't change his diet drastically. He didn't start running marathons. But something strange started to happen. He noticed he wasn't craving sugary snacks in the afternoon. He felt lighter, more energetic. He was sleeping better through the night and waking up feeling refreshed, not groggy. After about a week, his curiosity got the better of him. He dusted off the scale he'd been avoiding and stepped on. He had to check it twice. He was down 6 pounds. It didn't seem possible. Mark thought it had to be a fluke. But he kept up the simple 10-second ritual every morning. The next week, another 5 pounds were gone. His clothes started to feel loose. His wife, Sarah, noticed the change first. She said his face looked slimmer, and he had a spark back in his eyes she hadn't seen in years. His friends started asking him what his secret was. In just under 2 months, Mark had lost over 40 pounds. He had more energy than he'd had in his 20s. He was playing soccer with his kids, going on hikes with Sarah, and for the first time in a long time, he looked in the mirror and actually liked the person looking back. He wasn't just losing weight. He was gaining his life back. So, what was going on? How could this simple sunrise tonic be so effective when all the expensive diets and gym memberships had failed? Mark became obsessed with finding the answer. He took the list of ingredients to a friend who was a nutritionist and researcher. What she told him was mind-blowing. She explained that as we age, and due to environmental factors and modern diets, our metabolism can enter a state of hibernation. It's not that it's broken. It's just not firing on all cylinders. Our body's natural fat-burning machinery slows down, making it incredibly difficult to lose weight, no matter how little we eat or how much we exercise. The ingredients in his grandfather's tonic work together synergistically to essentially reawaken this dormant metabolism. For example, the curcumin in turmeric is a powerful anti-inflammatory that helps create a better environment for metabolic processes. The ginger helps with digestion and thermal effect, meaning your body burns more calories just processing it. Other ingredients on the list were found to support healthy blood sugar levels, reduce cravings, and signal the body to start using its stubborn fat stores for energy instead of just storing more. It wasn't magic. It was science. It was about giving the body the specific nutrients it needed to flip its own metabolic switch back to on. Mark and his nutritionist friend realized they had stumbled upon something truly revolutionary. They knew they couldn't keep it to themselves. They worked with a certified lab to source the purest, most potent forms of these ingredients from around the world. They wanted to create a formula that was not only effective, but also safe, easy, and convenient for anyone to use. They tested and refined the ratios to maximize the synergistic effect, ensuring that each ingredient enhanced the others. After months of rigorous work, they finally perfected the formula into a simple, easy-to-swallow capsule. They created a small, initial batch for friends and family, and the results were just as incredible as Mark's. People were losing weight, feeling more energetic, and transforming their health without the struggle and frustration they always associated with weight loss. Now imagine what this could mean for you. Imagine waking up, taking just 10 seconds to support your body's natural fat-burning ability, and then going about your day with more energy and less hunger. Imagine not having to constantly obsess over every single calorie. Imagine your clothes fitting better week after week. Imagine the confidence you'll feel when you see the positive changes in the mirror. This isn't about a quick fix or a miracle pill. It's about working with your body, not against it. It's about providing the fundamental building blocks your metabolism needs to function at its peak, just like it was designed to. You deserve to feel good in your own skin. You deserve to have the energy to live your life to the fullest. And you deserve a solution that is simple, sustainable, and based on real science. At this point, as I see it, you have two choices. Choice 1, you can close this presentation. You can forget everything you heard. You can go back and try the next restrictive diet, knowing it will likely fail. You can continue to feel frustrated, tired, and afraid of what the scale will say tomorrow. Choice 2, you can make the informed decision. You can click the link below and join us. You can try the exact same 10-second ritual that changed everything for Mark.